The snow fell heavily across the mountain town of Whistler, British Columbia. Claire Morgan pulled an old cedar trunk down a quiet street, her boots sinking into the fresh snow with every step. The trunk was nearly as old as she was. Its brass corners were scratched, its wheels barely worked, and its wooden surface carried decades of wear. But Claire would never leave it behind. Inside were the last possessions of her late husband, Daniel. Letters he had written during military deployments, family photographs, medals, and memories that no amount of money could replace. Walking beside her was her 8-year-old son, Noah. "Mom, are you sure this place is ours?" Noah asked. Claire looked toward the large Victorian house, standing at the end of the road. The house looked forgotten. Its windows were dusty. Its paint was peeling. Half the front porch leaned slightly to one side. Yet somehow, after months of struggling financially, she had managed to buy it through a government property auction. "It belongs to us now," Claire said. For the first time in months, Noah smiled. Across the street, a black Range Rover slowed. Inside sat Ryan Bennett, a successful real estate investor whose company owned luxury developments throughout Western Canada. His eyes widened the moment he saw the house. He hadn't been there in 23 years. The property had once belonged to his grandmother, the same grandmother who vanished mysteriously, without explanation, the same house his family refused to discuss. Then he noticed Claire. More specifically, he noticed the trunk. His heart nearly stopped. Engraved on the brass lock was a strange symbol, a symbol connected to a secret his family had buried decades ago. Ryan immediately stepped out of his vehicle. As Claire climbed the porch steps, something slipped from the trunk, a small silver key. The moment Ryan saw it, the color drained from his face, because he knew exactly what it unlocked. See, Ryan realized the key would expose a secret powerful people had spent 20 years hiding. The next morning, Claire and Noah began cleaning. Dust covered nearly every surface. Old furniture remained scattered throughout the rooms. The house felt abandoned. In a hurry, Noah explored upstairs while Claire worked downstairs. "Mom!" Noah shouted. Claire rushed upstairs. "What happened?" Noah pointed toward a bedroom wall. Behind faded wallpaper was a strange message, written in pencil. "The truth is beneath the floor." Claire stared at the words. A chill ran down her spine. Later that afternoon, Ryan arrived. Claire immediately recognized him. "You were watching us yesterday." Ryan nodded. "I grew up around this property." Claire folded her arms. "What do you want?" Ryan looked at the trunk. "The key." Claire's expression hardened. "What key?" Ryan knew she was protecting herself. He couldn't blame her. "The key belongs to something hidden inside this house." Noah stepped forward. "What kind of something?" Ryan hesitated, then answered honestly. "A secret." That evening, Claire couldn't stop thinking about the message behind the wallpaper. Eventually, curiosity won. At midnight, she grabbed a flashlight and began searching the floor beneath the room. Under one loose floorboard, the silver key fit perfectly. With a soft click, the lockbox opened. Inside were old documents, photographs, bank records, and a leather journal. The journal belonged to Ryan's grandmother, Eleanor Bennett. Claire spent hours reading. The entries revealed something shocking. Years before her disappearance, Eleanor had uncovered a land fraud scheme involving several wealthy investors. Millions of dollars had been stolen from struggling homeowners. The names mentioned in the journal belonged to powerful families throughout British Columbia. Then Claire found something even more disturbing. The final journal entry. "If anything happens to me, the evidence is hidden where nobody will ever think to look." The entry ended abruptly. No explanation, no location, no answers. The next morning, Ryan returned. Claire showed him the journal. His face grew pale. "That's impossible." "What is?" "My grandmother disappeared 3 days after writing that." Noah looked between them. "Do you think somebody hurt her?" Neither adult answered, because they were both thinking the same thing. Someone may have silenced her, and whoever had done it might still be alive. Inside the journal, Noah discovered a folded map neither adult had noticed. The map pointed toward an abandoned railway station outside Whistler. Ryan immediately recognized it. The station had been closed for decades. Nobody went there anymore. The next day, the three of them drove into the mountains. Snow covered the tracks. The building looked ready to collapse. Inside, they found old storage rooms and forgotten equipment. Hours passed. Nothing. Then Noah noticed a loose brick. Behind it sat another box. Inside were photographs, contracts, and recorded statements. Enough evidence to expose the entire fraud scheme. Ryan stared at the documents. Several people involved were still influential business leaders. If this gets out, careers will be destroyed. Claire looked directly at him. Then maybe they deserve it. Ryan admired her courage. Most people would have walked away. Claire refused. As they prepared to leave, headlights suddenly appeared outside. Someone had followed them, and they weren't alone anymore. 3 men stepped out of a black SUV and demanded the evidence. His father had been mentioned repeatedly in Ryan Bennett's journal. Victor smiled. "Give me the box." Claire refused. Victor's smile disappeared. "You don't understand what you're holding." "No," Claire replied. "I think we do." The tension grew dangerous. Then Noah unexpectedly spoke. "We already made copies." Victor's eyes widened. The truth was Noah was bluffing. But Victor didn't know that. The hesitation gave Ryan enough time to call the authorities. Victor and his associates quickly left before police arrived. But the threat remained. That night, Claire couldn't sleep. Whoever wanted the evidence wouldn't stop easily. Ryan made a decision. "I'm staying here." Claire looked confused. "Why?" "Because you're not safe." For the first time since Daniel's death, someone had chosen to stay, not out of obligation, but because they genuinely cared. The contents of the safety deposit box revealed Eleanor had survived her disappearance. Ryan spent the entire night reading. The truth shattered him. His father hadn't participated directly, but he had known, and he had done nothing. The revelation explained years of silence, years of avoidance, years of family secrets. Ryan felt betrayed. Claire found him sitting alone on the porch. "You okay?" Ryan shook his head. "No." He showed her the evidence. For several minutes, neither spoke. Finally, Claire placed a hand on his shoulder. "Your father's mistakes aren't yours." The words meant more than she realized. For years, Ryan had carried guilt that never belonged to him. Meanwhile, Noah continued searching through Eleanor's journal. Near the back, he found one final clue. A safety deposit box number. The box had never been opened. Whatever remained inside could finally explain what happened to Eleanor. The next morning, they headed to Vancouver. None of them realized someone was following them, waiting, watching, preparing for one final move. Before the storm ended, Ryan confessed a truth he had hidden for months. The documents inside the bank box stunned everyone. Ryan Bennett had not been murdered. She had fled, using a new identity. She spent years gathering evidence while hiding from powerful people. Most importantly, she had left a final recorded message. In the recording, she explained everything. She exposed a fraud, named everyone involved, and instructed whoever found the evidence to release it publicly. Ryan listened with tears in his eyes. After 23 years, he finally heard his grandmother's voice again. Meanwhile, authorities reopened the investigation. News outlets quickly picked up the story. The scandal dominated headlines throughout Canada. Several influential figures faced criminal investigations. Justice was finally catching up. But one question remained. What would happen after everything ended? Claire planned to focus on rebuilding her life. Ryan planned to return to Seattle. Neither wanted to admit how much they would miss the other. Then another winter storm struck and trapped them together inside the old house for 2 days. Days that changed everything. The storm finally passed. Sunlight reflected off fresh snow. The old Victorian house looked alive again. Ryan stood on the porch staring at the mountains. Claire joined him. For a long moment, neither spoke. Finally, Ryan broke the silence. "The first day I saw you, I thought you were just another buyer." Claire smiled. "And now?" Ryan looked toward Noah building a snowman in the yard, then toward the house, then back to Claire. "Now I think you saved me." Claire laughed softly. You helped save me, too. Ryan shook his head. No, you reminded me what matters. The investigation ended months later. The evidence exposed the truth. Victims received compensation. The people responsible faced justice. And Eleanor Bennett's story finally became public. But the greatest change happened inside the old house. The place nobody wanted became a home. Noah finally had stability. Claire finally had peace. And Ryan finally stopped running from the past. One evening, Noah hung a framed photograph above the fireplace. It showed the three of them standing together on the porch, smiling, not because they had solved a mystery, not because they had uncovered secrets, but because they had found something far more valuable, a family. As snow began falling once again over Whistler, Claire looked at the old cedar trunk sitting quietly in the corner. It had carried memories, loss, answers, and ultimately, hope. The journey had started with a trunk, but it ended with a home.